Welcome to Member 365's webinar on the list builder to optimize engagement. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christine Bundy. I am the Director of Customer Success. And fun fact is I actually love questions. All questions are good questions. So if anytime you have a question or scenario, please put them into the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. Everyone's camera is off and you are all muted, so please put them into the Q&A. I do have it up on my other screen, and if I do see it as we go, I will try to answer. Otherwise, there will be time at the end for questions. This is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel for future reference if you like to rewatch it. So for today, what are we going to go over? So first off is we're going to talk about sign-up forms versus lists and what the differences are and the benefits of both. And then we're actually going to create a sign-up form, and we're going to go through and create a few different lists based off of actually what I've seen in the support in the last couple of weeks and ones that are the most common. Now, if there's a certain scenario that you're trying to figure out, please share and we can go through that as well. If it's something specific, I might have to do it afterwards. We also will do some best practices, which I will mention as we go. And again, questions. I love questions. Please ask questions. All right. So first off, what is the difference between a sign-up form and lists? So a sign-up form you can create for like your newsletters. It's where you can create a form that you can embed on your website externally, and people can sign up for it. Or in the member portal, there's also options for sign-up forms for different topics that your members can determine which topics they want to receive communications for. So for example, we have sign-up forms for our newsletters, release notes, webinars, and update alerts. So those are our 4 sign-up forms. So anyone can sign up for them at any time and get those updates as needed. Now, the reason why you want this is that you aren't just bombarding all of your contacts with information. You're sending it to the people that actually want that information. So it increases your open rates. It actually helps with your unsubscribe rates because it actually keeps that down because people want that information. And they can manage their own subscriptions as well within the member portal as one of the benefits. Lists, on the other hand, are completely controlled by the administrator. So you can create lists and segment members based off of the information on their profile by creating and filtering. Now, these lists are strategic for you. Members don't see them. They have no idea that they're on these lists. So if you create a list for all active members and you send out an email to that list, then it's going to go out to all active members that you have email consent for. Now, you can adjust your lists, but all lists are dynamic. So when people meet those filters, they automatically get added. As soon as they don't meet the filters, they automatically get removed. So lists are consistently being updated based off of individuals' contact records as they're being updated. So lists allow admins to segment specifically to then send to those specific individuals. Where sign-up forms are, you can, as an administrator, add people to sign-up forms, but allows members and third parties, if you embed the sign-up form onto your website, to be able to get those communications that you want them to get. It is highly recommended to use both, and we will go through. So let's first go in and do a sign-up form and learn a little bit about why we really want to do a sign-up form. So we're going to jump into Member 365, as I like to call this our play site. And we're going to go up to email communications and go down to sign-up forms. Now, above here, you're going to see list management. This is exactly the same as going over to list over here and clicking on manage lists. Exact same tool, it's just a different route of getting there. By the way, if you don't see any of these items in your main menu, it's because you do not have admin permissions to do so. So please go to your admin manager and they can grant you permissions to anything that you're currently not seeing. All right, so sign up forms. There are quite a few in here. Now, the main reason for these also to have, like, even if you're not advertising these as much, the other strategy behind this is when somebody goes to opt out of an email communications, these lists are what they see. So members and non-members, all contacts that are sent the email and they go to click on the unsubscribe button or change your preference button, however you word that in your footer, this is the list that they see. So they can then determine if they want to change their preference or completely opt out. If you do not use sign up forms at all, they just can opt, the only option is to opt out. And so then you're losing that consent to send email communications to that individual in the future. So another strategy is to make sure that you have at least a few of these lists so they can choose a preference instead of completely opting out. These ones that are currently existing, you can click on to edit. You can even on the side here, get the embed code that I had discussed previously to put into your website. You can send out communications. You can do an import into this, just email addresses. You can see who's subscribed or you can delete it. Super easy to make a new one. You just come up here and hit create. Then you're going to give it a name. So this could be for our alerts. Email is mandatory. I always want to know who, so I always make first and last name mandatory. You don't have to, my preference. And then any other of the options you can turn on. I also like to turn on that they have to confirm their email address to make sure they type it in, because we all make mistakes and typos. You then can turn on other options and just have them as non-mandatory if you like. If you have subscribers, like if you're bringing them over from a third party, you can simply say yes. And then you're just going to copy and paste the email directly into here. If you're copying it from an Excel sheet, a comma is automatically going to be added in between. And then you can say what permissions you have been granted for communication. So it's automatically added to their contact record. And then you can create your sign up form. I don't have any in to add, so I'm simply going to say create. And now I have my embed code. If I want to, I can copy it and embed it in, and it will appear like this. Now, some people are like, hey, what does this look like? Well, we actually use it on our site. So if you go to member365.com and you go to our blogs, it's on every single one of our blogs. We actually have it on the side of every of our blogs. And so you can sign up for the newsletter right here. And so this is the same sign up form that we are creating over here with the embed code. And so you can have all the options on, but not mandatory. So we always make it email, first name, and last name. There you go. So that's sign up forms. So now let's go over and let's create lists. Now, one other thing that I will always say when it comes to either creating lists or sign up forms, make sure you have someone that at least comes in here once a year, quarter, semi-annually, and does a cleanup. This is a perfect example of what you should not have your list look like. This is a disaster. And I had, actually, funny enough, just last month had a new admin come in and they were like, I don't know which list I'm supposed to be using, because there was 4 lists, all active members, but when you went into them, all the filters were different. And so it wasn't clear which one she needed. So it was like, okay, let's delete all of these because we don't know which is for what purpose. There's no legend, there's no right reason. So this is what it should not look like. There's too many, and some of them are too similar of the same. So make sure you go in and you clean. It's easy to come in and delete. If you need to email a specific list, like if this is a list that you're trying to email, you can send them an email communication. If this is a list that you want to assign in a tag to everyone on this list for future reference, you can do that by clicking this and selecting a shared tag or creating a my tag for it. And then if you need to edit the list or download the list, you can do so. You can also import lists. Now, the one thing that I will mention about importing, once you import a list, you can't re-import into that list, but you can create a tag and add a filter so that any future contacts you wish to add to that list, you can use through a tag. That is a common item that happens quite often is somebody will import a list, but then every once in a while there's somebody else that they want to add manually. Well, then you can use the tag feature for it. All right, so we're going to create a list, and I'm actually just going to put today's date for this so that we know that this is for today's date and for purposes of testing out the list builder. Now, here it says shared. Shared is so that this list is shared with all admins. All admins can see what this list is. The next one is to keep it private, so I can see it and only I can see it. So this is when you might start getting duplicate lists or people using duplicate lists with different filters. So I always like to keep them shared unless you have like a special project that you don't want anybody touching it. Again, just put in the label "do not touch" and your name so that people know that it's your list and not to touch. So making sure that this is clear in the name as to what it is and what it's for. If this is your all member list for newsletter, then put that in the title, all active members used for newsletter. And then you know exactly which one you're selecting when you go to select your recipients for your newsletter campaigns. Okay, next we're gonna go click continue. And then in here is our filters. So everything within the green box is an and statement. If I add a second green box, it makes an or statement. So what does that mean? So if I have an active membership for primaries, I'm going to click the corporate members, but I also only want the active ones. So I'm going to create a second filter for status active. And so they are part of the corporate membership and they have an active status. They're added to this list. Now there's no one that fits that criteria. The second that somebody does, they're automatically added to the list because they match the criteria that I've made in the and statement. Now, if I remove this and I simply have any primary actives, they're automatically added. And then if I go in here and I say, oh, I want also employees that have active, this is an or statement. So they either are a primary that have an active with a membership of an active status, or they are an employee of a membership with an active status. So or, and if it's in the same box, it's and. Hope that makes sense. You can all add multiple criteria, so you can continue on and make more or statements as needed. Don't have to, but it is available. Other things that you can filter off of, so just to go through each of these, so you can do committees, the roles or statuses that they're in, any of the contact demographic form questions that you have. So if you created those further segments and you need to segment off of them, you can do so within here. If you just want to segment off of the actual classification or contact demographic, it actually is classification in here. We are going to be relabeling it, but it used to be called classification, which is why it still says it in the list builder at this time. Again, you can do other things. Also, birth date. Birth date is a common one that I get asked. If you want to do for a specific date range, you can do born. Show contacts that are born after this date or before this date as an and statement. So everybody that's in between will apply. So just something to consider, because I know a lot of associations that have juniors, anyone under the age of 18 wants to become 18, they then want to move them to the next group. And so you can make a list by doing that. Directory questions is another common one. So if you have any directory forms with professionalisms or specialities that you want to do, you can do forms segment off of that. For those doing events, this one is a really good one. So you can actually segment off of people that have attended. So if you're doing an after thank you, or people that have registered for the event. Now there are people that are registered because they're assigned a ticket. And then there's the person who buys the ticket. So just be aware that if you're registered to the event, you are the person that is who paid for that event. If you want to send it out to everyone with tickets, that's when you want to use your reminders inside the event. We are going to be adding a few more to this. It is with the development team, so when that is released, you will be notified. Other things that you can also do is keywords. Another common one that I really like is engagement analytics. So if you're trying to find the people that are the least active, you can do equals 2 into a score of 0, or if they have a score of 1, or you can even do them on less than. So if you want to do less than 3, because if people aren't being active in your organization, or they have a red line like this through it, means you do not have email consent. You might want to consider if they are people that you should have in your database. So are they members? Are they active? Or are they non-members that have no email consent and therefore should be permanently deleted from your database? So just something to consider. It is a common question that I get asked, so I always like to share it. We did go over memberships. You can also segment off of organizations and off of roles. So if you are looking to do specific, like only the primaries, for example, if you have primary organizations, you can do it based off of the roles or statuses for them. And here is also role management. So for primaries as well, you had it in both places. You can have, it's about 30. Finally, tags. So we do talk a lot about tags and contact demographics in our customer relationship management training. So there is like my tags, organization, contact tags, organizations, mine versus shared. So the shared tags, again, is what we most commonly recommend, because you can have the tag not seen if it's my tag, and then people are using the same tags and they're not accurate. So you can create lists based off of the tags that you're using. So if somebody has like a speaker, they can get added. I just made an and statement or a non-and statement. And then finally, workshops. So workshops are the ones that they've been given access to. So if you have specific workshops that you want to send an email communications, now you can send them a message by simply having posted something in a discussion forum. But if you don't have discussion forums enabled, that's when you want to have list builders so you can use email campaigns. So that's kind of the difference. If you do have the post discussion open, I would recommend using that to send communications to that workspace. You just need to make sure that you have your notifications enabled and making sure that they are clear. All right, so finally, if I create a list, or if I just want all contacts, by the way, this is with no filters, all my contact list, and I can export it out. So you can then determine what fields you want in your export. You can do a select all, or you can do it based on just the information that you require for whatever project that you're working on. I use this tool quite often when I'm doing audits on our system, so that I have information that I need in the specific columns that I need. Make sure that you save as you're going, just to make sure that you don't miss anything. You can always come down here if there's someone specific that you are like, no, this person shouldn't be here. You can X them out. It puts a gray line. So gray line means that admin has removed them. Red line means they have no email consent. And if you need to, you could always put them back on so that they're going to get those communications. If they are grayed out or red out, they won't get communications if you send an email communication through the email marketing campaign. All right, so that is creating a list. Again, I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going to delete today's list because it's not needed. So I can come in and I can delete. Make sure that, again, you're going through, I already see a few active members, and cleaning this out annually. It is a best practice. It's Speaking of best practices, let's go and go through those. So best practices, clearly label your lists. I even have a little bit of a legend in our internal documents to say what each list and the purpose behind it. Sometimes we have other team members make lists that and I'm like, hey, what's this for? And either we add it or we're like, okay, it's just a temporary list, and then we remove it after the time in which we no longer need it. Number one that I always remove is like event lists. So if we're creating event lists, within 6 months, that list will just remove, because if we ever need to make it again, we can. Great part of the data is that it stays with the person. So anyone who registered for event, you can create a list later on for that event at any time. And then clean your list, go through. If you have 4 with all active members, make sure you clean it down to 1, properly label, and you're sending it to the right people. So you can use the lists and or sign up forms at the same time, by the way. So if you are doing your email campaigns, you can select more than one list or sign up form. However, the system will only send one email to the individual if they are on multiple lists or sign up forms. So just something also to be aware of is that if people are on multiples and you're selecting multiples, only one email is going to go out to them. All right. Any questions for today? Does anyone have any questions or any scenarios they would like help with? And if you don't, that is okay. If you would like to ask later on, or if you come up with something later on, you can always reach out to us by submitting a ticket. Or if you have premium support and like to talk to us on chat, love to talk to you on chat as well and go through any scenarios you like. If you do have a Zoom call enabled, then you can always book a call and we can go over them that way. We also have a great knowledge base and YouTube channel that you can access other instructional videos like this one. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. I look forward to next week when we do events. So we will be going over the new update for events with the workspaces or workshops. And I'm very excited to share that. It's an update that is, I think, going to be very helpful for a lot of associations that have CE and need to assign CE or certificates per workshops for conferences that are coming up. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.